Hi my friends, my name is Justine, I'm the Mermaid Seamstress, and today we will be doing a review of the Finis Aquarius Monofin. So I first heard of the Finis Aquarius Monofin from Courtney Mermaid. It was her favorite monofin for a very long time. You can go and check out the tales that she's made with it over on her channel. Link will be in the description box and in the iCard above. But I decided to try it for myself. Actually, I got it because I have a friend who is really looking for a sturdy monofin, and I've heard that this is fairly stable and a really good quality monofin for adults with smaller foot sizes as well as teenagers. So I decided to give it a try, and I actually really ended up liking it. It's really strong, it has really good propulsion. It's also a little bit smaller, so it makes me really agile in the water, and I can do a lot of tricks and flips in this really easily, and I really like it a lot. There are some cons with it, the ever typical sliding foot strap, which I think they fixed in this newer model with the different design on the foot strap itself. This is the second release, and one way you can tell is the strap mechanism is similar to the Luna Monofin and is different. The old ones used to have kind of a pull strap, more similar to the Finis Rapid or the Finis Wave. So this monofin fits men's US sizes 4 to 10 and women's US sizes 5 to 11. So this makes it really good for teenagers or for young adults or for people who have smaller feet but can't quite fit into the kids monofins. This is definitely also better quality than kids monofins. This monofin comes in 4 colors according to which release you get. The first release, which has a different ankle strap type. It's basically the same except for the way the ankle strap is attached, and that comes in purple, pink, and blue aqua, and then it comes in tidal teal, which is the one I have, and magical magenta, and that's for the second release ones. The price difference is going to be drastic between the two releases. The older version runs for about $30 on Amazon, and the newer versions run for closer to $50 on Amazon. But it is worth it to get the newer size because there's less slipping on the heel straps. So let's talk a little bit about these foot pockets. So this looks like it is one big foot pocket, but actually if you look inside, it's actually 2 parallel foot pockets with the divider in the middle. And what this means is your feet are not going to rub against each other, and they're going to be held next to each other, but you still have the comfort of having 2 separate foot pockets, which personally I really like. I find this very comfortable. I find it very soft and squishy. It is solid on the back, so this is the same piece of plastic all the way through, so you still do get a lot of really good propulsion with this, which I really appreciate. It's got these little grips on the back in case you need to stand up on the bottom of the pool and adjust something. Don't stand in your tail out on the pool deck. That's really dangerous. And can lead you to slipping and falling and seriously hurting yourself. One big improvement with the second release of these monofins is the way that the foot straps are attached. The old ones used to be more similar to this, where you have a buckle and you pull to tighten it or loosen it. And the problem with these on the Aquarius monofin was that they kept sliding. So Finis made these ones, which are more similar to the way that the Luna is now designed, where there's a peg here on the side of the monofin, and you just slide one of these holes. So this is a rubber strap, and you just slide it over the peg, and it stays in place. I've never had these come off on me unless I pull them out significantly. So these aren't going to stretch or slide on you. This is going to keep the foot pocket really, really tight against your ankles. One thing about having one foot strap for both feet is that it does slide off of your ankles if you don't have it tightened enough, or if you tend to flex your feet a lot. So if your feet are like this, it's more likely to slide over your ankles than it is if your feet are pointed. I don't know why that is, but it encourages proper form, so I'm all for it. And I find that if it does slip off, it's really easy to put back on even if you're in a tail. I have been working on these little things, which are foot straps that go over the top of your foot to keep them on, and I'll make a tutorial for these very, very soon. Another thing I like about these foot pockets is that the holes at the toe allow water to drain really nicely without being very invasive. It's really hard to see them under a tailskin or feel them, as a matter of fact, under a tailskin. I do usually prefer when the drainage holes are at the back. That just makes it so that if kids come and pet your tail, you can't feel them, but I've found that like these aren't very noticeable under a tailskin. In terms of the looks of this monofin, I love the colors a lot. I think that it's a very mermaidy style. The foot pockets have these little scales on it, which I find adorable. It's also a pretty mermaidy shape. This hump in the middle is really unusual, but I think that's because they don't want it to have a sharp point where it can crack. This monofin is fairly flexible side to side, but not quite so flexible this way, which is what you want. This is going to provide you a lot of propulsion. It was also wider than I thought, so I thought this was going to be more like a kid's monofin, and it's not. As you guys, as you may or may not know, I might have mentioned this in other videos. One thing I like to do for aesthetic reasons is I like to make sure that my monofins are at least as wide as my shoulders, and this just gives me some really nice proportions in terms of my shoulders and then my waist and my hips down to the monofin. So a bigger monofin is going to make you as a mermaid look smaller, thinner, and daintier. I really like this monofin in terms of the width. It's a really good width. I think it measures about 22 inches tip to tip. If I had to guess, that's about the same width as most of my other monofins. But it is a little bit more delicate in terms of its width down by your feet and the length of the blade itself. But this makes it really easy to do spins and turns and flips in it, because you're not getting resistance on the back end, or you're not getting as much resistance when you twist through the water as you would with a larger monofin. That being said, it doesn't create a lot of resistance doing flips, but it does provide a lot of propulsion. This has some really good propulsion, especially compared to the Fin Fun and the Luna and some other kids monofins that I know. I'd say that it's more than the Mermaid Linden monofin, and about the same as the Finis Wave, and definitely more than the Finis Foil. I'd compare it to the Finis Wave, actually, in terms of propulsion. Maybe it's a little bit more because this is a stiffer plastic, but it's not going to be as much as the Mahina monofin or the Finis Rapid, and definitely not as much as some fiberglass monofins about the same size as this. The only person I know who sells tailskins for this monofin are Mertailor. Their eco tails will fit over this. I am not a huge fan of the Mertailor eco tails, and I will have a review to the one that I got as a gift with this monofin coming up next week, so stay tuned for that. But what I would say is, if you're gonna get this fin, this would be a great fin to put under a homemade mermaid tail, especially if you want something that will grow with you if you're a smaller foot size, or if you're a trick mermaid and you want to be able to do a lot of flips and tricks and things like that. This is going to be the monofin for you, especially if you still want some propulsion. This monofin does have holes in it, and I can see in the future using these to anchor some add-ons to help alter the shape of the monofin a little bit under a tail. Let me know if you're interested in the comments below if you want ways to alter this tail without actually cutting the actual monofin, because I'd be interested in doing that, and I've been doing some experimenting with that. I'd recommend this monofin for use in pools and lakes, not so much in open water like the ocean or with areas with a lot of current, just because it isn't the strongest monofin. It's stronger than your bare feet, but I wouldn't recommend swimming anywhere where you can't outswim the current with your bare feet. The last thing I will say is that this monofin does have very sharp tips, and I've actually filed my tips down so that they're not as sharp, but these come to a very sharp point. So I would recommend this, you know, when you make a monofin for this, that you give it a little bit of space up here, so you can sew very closely around this part, but when you get to the tips, give it a little bit of space and sew it loosely so that you're not poking holes in your tails, because that will happen and can happen. Another thing you can do to prevent that is to round these out by filing or by cutting them. You know, just be careful, because that will, if these have a warranty on them, that will void the warranty. If you want to see how this monofin compares to other monofins, I will link you to my monofin playlist. It will be in the iCard above and in the description box below. Leave a comment with what designs you would want to do with this monofin. Also, leave a comment if you want to see a review of my Mertailor Eco Tail. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe if you want to see more mermaidy videos, monofin reviews, and hopefully soon some tutorials on how to make your very own mermaid tail, as well as some tips and tricks that I've picked up in my 8 years of being a mermaid. Don't hesitate to click the bell notification button next to the subscription button to see my future videos. As always, swim safe, swim smart, swim happy. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, fish friends.